Okay, I have started recording the session. If I look into the participants, there are only 12 students who are present. I think all of you can able to cross check who are the participants who are present. Is the list of participants is visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it might be visible, but private chat is blocked. Okay, and let us complete revision of Unit 1 in today's class. We have started discussing the importance of C++. Also, in the last class, we also have revised the fundamental concepts of how to draw the flowcharts and how to think logically for any given computational problem. And if at all the same question is being asked either by using a program or by using a flowchart, or if you are asked to convert that into an algorithm, every student must be in a position to do so. Okay, so we have looked in how to convert a logic into the flowchart, and subsequently, I have asked you to look into the aspect of converting your program into the algorithms. So in algorithms, you write only steps. So instead of arrows, which is a pictorial representation in flowcharts, so you indicate you go to so and so step. That is the step number. So other than that, there is no much difference in terms of both flowcharts and the algorithm. So notice that both these notions of representing the logic, which are in order to solve a computational problem in the form of a pictorial representation, which is called as a flowchart, or in the form of a English sentences using step by step process of execution, is always independent of programming languages. Okay. So before I further take up, I think I discussed, I told yesterday that we will look into some of the aspects of calling a general function or a member function inside a member function. So before that, I'll keep that as the last part of today's class agenda. And before that, if you have any specific doubts or any specific point need to be repeated, or any specific points needs to be repeated, you are welcome to ask me. So use this time for better clarity so as to understand the concepts of building the logics. So let me again repeat, you have any doubts or any concept you want me to repeat, you can tell me now. If you don't have any doubts, then let me directly project these questions which are focused from Unit 1 that are commonly asked in the external exams. Okay, so any of the questions that you want me to repeat, which are now visible on your screen, you can let me know. So I could see the negative exponential curve of list of participants who are attending the classes. Now there are 42 students who are absent. I think 43 students. Can somebody confirm whether my audio clarity is good? Actually, I'm having a little throat infection, so my pitch is little low. I hope my audio is okay.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay. So anybody has any specific doubts? If you don't have any doubts, then look into the questions. So before I ask you to look into the questions, please prompt me if you have any doubts. Anybody has any doubts? Unit 1. Okay, so let us go through the questions, and in these questions, if you need any clarity in terms of understanding the concept, you can ask me now. Okay, so what is an abstract data type? Process of process of separating process of separating the functions implementations outside of the class and defining only the function declarations, so that as a programmer you can communicate only the class information without disclosing the implementation details, is called as procedural abstraction, and it is achieved by using a scope resolution operator, and that class is called as a abstract data type. Or in other words, the process of segregating or separating the actual implementation of your member functions and its member functions definitions by using scope resolution operator is called as procedural abstraction, and a procedural abstracted class is called as a abstract data type. So how is it achieved in C++? That is using a class. Demonstrate with an example. You can use probably two numbers and then set values. You can ask the user to initialize those two values, and you can find the biggest of given two numbers. Okay, so but if you are asked to implement the ADT class, then usage of scope resolution operator is mandatory. So you have to clearly specify that your class is not showing the implementation procedures. Okay, and at the same time, you don't have to worry about the constructors and destructors. However, that's only two lines of code, so I advise you can write, it will be better. Yeah, I can see students dropping the roll numbers. Yeah, that is correct. That gives that draws my attention as well. So all of you, those who have joined now, there are 18 students. I advise all the students to drop your roll number in the chat box so that I can consolidate. Okay. So ADT is clear, right? What is procedural abstraction is clear, right? What is data hiding is clear. What is the definition of class? Can somebody talk to me? It keeps me energetic.
Sir,
Yeah, so what is data hiding? I think this also we have discussed. So let me reiterate the process of entity specific attributes, wherein you categorically identify the data type and then you define the data as a private access specifier. Okay, so you use a member function in order to access the data. So because you are depending on the member function, and without creating an object, you cannot reach the data. So therefore, the data is said to be hidden. So this is how you can demonstrate the data security. Okay. Then what is the definition of class? Class is a collection of entity specific dissimilar attributes along with its associated member functions and are friends with operator overloaded functions also. An object is an instance of a class, or a variable of a class type is called as an object. So only when the application invokes an object, or only when an application creates an object, then only the memory to the data which is being hidden inside the class, okay, will be allocated. Otherwise, your class will be treated as a wrapper data type with no size, meaning the size of your class, unless otherwise the object is not created, is zero, meaning it is void. Then list the differences between structure and class. I think you know that. Okay. So what are seen and see outs? Yes, what are seen and see outs? 154 is present. No, 175 is present. 175. 175. No. 175, yes. 125, Anusha is present, yes.
Sir, objects.
Yeah,
Scene and see
they
out
are called as objects. So scene is a object of type input stream class, and cout is a object of type output stream class. So in they are used in combination with the overloaded left shift and right shift operators, whose overloaded function definitions are already defined as friends inside the iStream and the OStream class in order to operate the data on iStream class objects by using cin and OStream class objects by using cout respectively. Okay, so then mention the C++ program structure with the pseudocode. So if you are asked to do this, then what you have to do is you have to say that first you have to write preprocessor directives by using include. Then you write hash defined statements if at all there are any primaries. Then you write the global function definitions, okay, that which are general functions. Then you write the classes, okay. Then you write the implementation of methods inside the classes. Then finally you start writing the main. I hope you are clear. I'm talking about question number 4. Are you clear? So what do you mean by
Yes, sir.
structure of a program? Okay, then flowcharts and algorithms we spent yesterday with one or two I think one example. Then what is the advantage of switch case compared with other decision control statement? So the advantage is in switch case, okay, so in switch case, based on the arrived expression result, it is possible to direct the program control into a specific case, whereas otherwise you need to cross verify in every decision checking in any other decision control statements. Okay, so I hope you are understanding the point what I am trying to highlight in switch case.
Sir,
Yeah,
but in switch case flowchart will keep for case one, case two.
yeah, yeah.
Every time we check with the diamond, no, sir.
No, no. What you have to do is, if you are drawing a flowchart for switch case, so you evaluate an expression. Let us assume you are asked to draw the flowchart for displaying the, let us say, what is it? Displaying the grade, or let me take the example of choice-based user arithmetic. Okay, so you are saying that you enter the choice. Okay, so let us assume the choice can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 is to terminate. So that means you will have total 6 choices, right? So what you do is, so on one branch you start, this is if the choice is equal to, if choice is equal to 1. So in brackets you can say that you are going to add. Okay, so you don't need to draw all the diamonds because there is no condition, and even if you do that, then that means you are saying that it is going to check the other diamonds. That is wrong. So directly you write the second choice. So if this is equal to 2, so you do your subtraction. That means here you drew here you write a box with c is equal to a plus b, and here you write a box with c is equal to a minus b, and so on. And finally this will be default. This will be default. Now these statements, after the execution of any one block, it has to come back. I'm sorry. From here till here. So this is how you can probably draw a flowchart for switch case. So here also you will have a default block saying that display invalid choice, and then Wherever there are two arrows which are intersecting, you can keep a connector. So am I clear? So make sure that you are drawing only one diamond. And you write equal to this value. Based on the value, so choice is how much. So here you are not checking whether choice is true or false. Here you are evaluating the value of choice, and accordingly the program flow will jump based on the value of choice. And another point to be noted is switch case is acceptable only for integer constants and are character ASCII constants. Okay, so if choice is, let us say, 0.1 and 0.2, and if you write case 0.1 and case 0.2, then it gives you compilation error. So this is many times quite commonly asked 2 marks question. Intentionally choice which is a float will be given, and then some code will be written with the case 0.1 and case 0.2. Okay, so so if a question of that type or that nature comes, then your answer must be it is a compilation error. So switch case is not acceptable for any other data types of expressions which are yielding other than integer and or character ASCII constants. ASCII character constants. Okay. So did you understood? I hope I am clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So moving on next, what is the difference between class and structure? This also we have seen. I think this is repetition. Okay, fine. Next, let me stop annotation. Let me project the other list of questions. What is the difference between a member function and a generic function? This is where we will spend some time today, because some critical, sometimes, not every time. So if there is okay, so is it possible to call a member function inside a member function without object binding? Or is it possible to invoke a member function inside a general function? Or is it possible to invoke a general function inside a member function? So let us spend some time on question number 9. So what I'll do is I'll specifically discuss this question with 4 objectives. The first one is we will create a class A. Okay, so we'll assume that there is a class A. So assume that there is a class A. So it has a data item, let us say X. It has a data item, let us say X. And inside this class, okay, so in main, we will create an object. Okay, so this is, let us say, A1. So A1 will have A1's X. A1 will have A1 dot X. So we will use a appropriate mutator in order to initialize the value of X. So meaning we will use a member function. So we will use a member function. Okay. Now inside this member function, is it possible to call a general function? If so, then how? If no, then why? So inside the member function, is it possible to call a generic function? Actually, don't use the word generic, because generic programming means, again, it comes the usage of template in unit number 4. Remember, we have discussed generic programming, templates. Okay, so you write that it is a global function. So that means it is a function which is not defined inside the class. So first of all, what is the difference between a member function and a generic function? Can somebody answer? What is the difference between a member function and a generic function, or a non-member function? A member function and a non-member function. Yes, 156.
It can access the private members of the class. Member
Which
function.
can accept.
Member function can access the private members of the class, but a general function cannot.
Okay, but it is possible even to demonstrate that a general function can accept the private data members of a class, provided you make that as a function call inside the member function.
Yes, sir. Sir.
Isn't it? So, what is the fundamental difference between a member function and a general or a non-member function? Let me not use general or generic. A non-member function and a member function. There are,
It is a scope.
yeah.
Scope of that function, which means the members of the data items in the main can't use the functions of member function.
The data
Do-add of a member function can't do from main. Means private AB and this one.
okay, put it appropriately. I'm trying. I mean, I understood what you are trying to tell, but what will you write? What is the difference between a member function and a non-member function? Okay, so there are two important differences. There are two important main differences. The difference number one is a member function declaration will happen only inside the class. Okay, a function is said to be a member function only if that function declaration exists inside the class, inside the C++ class. And since we are dealing a course of object-oriented programming, classes are the fundamental building blocks of any object-oriented programming language. So any procedure or any method that you are writing inside the class is called as a member function. Okay, whereas a non-member function is a one whose declaration is global and it is accessible to everybody, right? A non-member function is a one whose declaration is global, meaning the scope is global and it is accessible by everybody. So this is difference number one. Agreed? Any doubts? Let me again repeat. The first difference is in member function, the function declaration must happen inside the class. The declaration of the function must happen inside the class. Then only it is said to be a member function. On the other hand, a non-member function declaration normally is done outside of the main as global scope so that it is accessible by anywhere in any part of the code. This is difference number one. Agreed? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, point number two. The second point is a member function can be invoked mandatorily by using an object. You cannot invoke a member function without an object. For example, if you have a member function, let us say you have some member function mf of here. So how can you call this member function? Only when you use a1 dot. Yes or no? A1 dot and then member function. Now note that here, even though there exists other concepts which are there and which are sitting inside the class, such as friend functions, notice that friend functions are not the member functions technically. Friend functions are not the member functions. Okay, and friend functions are not the non-member functions. They are also not non-member functions. They are friends. Okay. So the second difference is in order to use your member function, okay, so you can use a member function only by binding your member function with an object. without binding the member function with an object, you cannot use a member function or you cannot invoke a member function. Whereas for a non-member function, there is no such rule of invoking a non-member function strictly by binding an object. There is no strict rule of invoking a non-member function strictly by binding an object. So without binding an object also, you can invoke, let us say, a function whose name is, let us say, fun. Okay. However, now are the two differences are clear? Let us assume this is a outside function. This is a non-member function. Let us assume you have a member function, some member function. Okay. Can somebody talk to me?
Yes, sir.
So a non-member function can be used anywhere, any part of the code, anywhere and in any part of the code. So these are the two important differences between a member function and a non-member function. So having said this, if we are writing a member function, assume that you are writing a member function inside class A. Is it possible to invoke another member function which is written in the same class? Is it possible to invoke another member function which is written in the same class without object binding? The answer is yes, provided you are invoking as a part of execution code within a member function only. So let me demonstrate with an example what I mean by that. Okay. So if I take up an example, then it will be much more clear in terms of what I'm talking. Okay. So what I'll do is, let me stop annotation. What am I talking about? I am talking about, is it a strict rule that a member function must be always binded to an object? The answer is no. It is not strict rule. It all depends on the coder's implementation strategy. Okay, and even it is possible to corrupt the data. So I'm going to demonstrate how it is been proved, how it can be proved. Okay. So assume that in a C++ environment, you have a class. Before I proceed, are you following? Are you able to listen my voice?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So assume that you have a class A. Right. I'm taking the same example with a private data member having int variable x, and you have a public member function. Let me use setx. Okay. So this is a mutator. So you are setting the value of x, and because there is no big code here, so I'm writing you enter the value of x. Okay, enter the value of x, and then whatever user is entering, take that into x. Similarly, let us write an accessor which is put x. Okay, so what I'll do is input x. I'll just simply write cout x is equal to. Okay. Now in main, I have an object. Let us say a1. A1. Okay. So if I write a function which is, say, void fun of void, this is a general function. So what I'll do is I'll write this probably before coming there. What I'll do is I'll write a member function. Let us say fun1 of void. What is this? This is a member function. This is a member function. So inside this member function, what I'll do is I'll simply write testing. just testing it. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll say a1 dot set x. So assume that user wants to initialize the value of x as 2, goes to a1. a1's value as 2. a1's x value as 2. So user is entering the value 2. Okay. Now I will display a1 dot put x. So I'll get the value of x. Yes or no? Now after this, before I return my application, what I'll do is I'll call a1 dot fun1 of. So I'll get testing. Yes or no? What happened? Am I lost? Did I lost my signal?
No, sir.
Okay. So in line number 32, I'll get line number 23, that is testing. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in line number 23, before I terminate this member function, what I'll do is I'll now call a general function, fun2. Now notice that fun2 is not a member function, it is a general function. So I'm writing a general function fun2. Okay, so let us say it is fun2 of void. I'll not do anything, I'll just write some statement saying that you are getting testing 2. Okay. Now what will happen? Will it give error? Will it compile? Will it compile? Or will it give any error? Yes. Any predictions?
It will compile.
Okay. Any other answer? Yes. Any other answer? Fine. So let us compile this. So the answer is it will compile. Now here there are some interesting observations. Okay. So as I said, I am writing the value of x as 2. So you can see that I am getting both test1 and test2, and of course constructor destructors, that story is always there. So the value of x, which is the object a1's internal private data value, is x. Now here what I'll do is next, now what did I demonstrated? I have demonstrated that it is possible to call a non-member function as a part of a member function. Agreed? Okay. Now second part is let me pass x. What I'm doing, I'm passing x. Now let me catch that x by taking a formal. Let us say int p. Okay, their formal not required. It is data type. So here it is int some alias p. So in testing 2, what I'll do is I'll try to print p. Now will I get value as 2? Yes or no, or will I get any error?
Yes, sir, you will get. It will compile.
So this is you will get your I'm sorry, your program will get compiled, and testing 1 will come, and then fun2 will also start executing, and in fun2 you will get testing 2, and the value of p will be 2. Okay, so if I compile this, if I enter 2, I'll get 2. Testing 1, and then in testing 2, the value of p is 2. Now here, little more interesting fact here is, what I'll do is, I'll pass the address. I'll pass the address of x. Okay, I'll cache the address and I'll dereference it by using a pointer. Okay, so this is nothing but, I'm sorry, this is star. Okay, now if I start typing star p, which is equal to star p, now here can I corrupt x here? Yes or no?
No, sir. We can't. P is not accessible over there.
Uh, you are passing address of x, you are catching that address and then you are taking it as a pointer. So you are fetching the value of star p, which is nothing but value present at that address, which is in this example is 2. So let me execute till here. First of all, let us cross confirm that this is legal first of all. Okay, so I'm entering 2. So star p is 2 now. Now, even though x is private, okay, so if there exists a function call which is not a member function in line number 28, which is a general function, and if it is handing or if it is giving a control of the address of my data, and if I dereference the value by using a pointer operator, which is a memory reference operator, now the question is, can I corrupt x without informing A1? Are you binding fun2 with A1? No. So when you are executing the code in fun2, are you informing it to A1? No. But because of whom you are executing fun2? Because of A1. Because of which member function? Because of fun1. So what is the answer? In line number 9, what is the answer? Yes or no?
Yes.
To be
Yes, sir.
precise, what I'm saying is, if I use star p is equal to, let us say, 10. Now what will be the value of x? Will it be 2? Will it be 10?
10.
So already I have called this. Okay, so let me again write after the member function. After the member function, a1 dot put x. Now in line number 40, will you get 2 or will you get 10? Or first of all, will you get an error?
We'll get 10.
Yeah, so the answer is you will get 10. So this is how the object level, let me execute. I'm entering 2. So you can notice that the value of x is 2. Okay, testing 1 is executed, testing 2 got executed, star p at that time the value was 2. Then later on you have changed star p to 10. So the point is, always you have to be very, very careful when you are dealing with a function inside a member function. Make ensure that you are not giving away the addresses of your data. Specifically, this bug happens. When this bug happens? When? Specifically, this is very critical. When? When? When we pass an array. Yes or no? Assume that you are maintaining marks here. Int x of 10. How do you pass? Assume that you want to find the topper and you are writing get top as a function name. How do you pass? Call by reference only. Yes or no? Are you following?
Yes, sir.
So whenever you are passing an array as an argument, which is legal and which is valid only when you opt the notion of call by reference. There is a likelihood or there is a possibility that you can, or the function, the non-member function can corrupt your data. So how do you avoid this? So to avoid this, make ensure that to whichever non-member function you are sending to or you are calling, it is making a strict compliance in terms of data accessibility. That means if I use constant int star, then star p equal to 10 will give me an error. Why? Because star p is already 2. So any attempt to make a change of star p will throw an error at what time? Compilation time itself. So if you do this, then you will get an error. What error will you get? You will get an error at line number 10 saying that attempt is being done to modify a constant data. Okay, so if you compile this, now you'll get an error. See, assignment of read-only location. That is at line number 10. So this is very important. This is how you will make ensure that the coders has to allow the function calls or pass the arrays, mainly specifically when you deal with arrays, that you are not allowing the other non-member functions to tackle the data. Okay. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let us focus on two member functions. Now I have completed the story with one member function and one general function. Now there is another interesting point here. Okay, so the second point is this is okay. This is completed. Fine. So let me now remove my general function, which is a non-member function. I'm just removing it. Okay. Now this is fun1. You are using testing. Now let us say you are using fun2 and assume that fun2 is another member function. What I'll do is I'll set x, I'll put x, and then I'll set x, and then I'll put x, and for fine. Okay, after member function, put x, and then return. Fine. So assume that I want to initialize the value of x as 2, then I'm calling fun1, and as a part of fun1, I want to call fun2. Now, as a part of fun2, you are executing testing 2. Okay. Now, notice that fun2 is not binded to an object, but is fun2 is a member function? Yes or no? Is this is a member function? Yes or no?
Yes.
It is a member function. Why? Because it is sitting inside the class and it is not a friend. So how can you say that it is not a member function? It is a member function. Now the point is line number 20 is legal?
Yes, sir.
If it is valid, then where are you binding your member function call to an object? If it is legal, then normally you said in difference number 2, a member function has to be called. See line number 32, a member function has to be called by binding an object, that is A1. But where are you binding fun2, which is in line number 20?
Sir, in trial number 32, we binded because there is no scope of fun1 in main, but there is scope of fun2 in fun1 in fun1 function.
More than the scope, what you have to tell is the from the program execution point of view, what is important is the object. So as long as you are not creating an object, class will not have any meaning. That is point number one. As long as an object is not created, the class will not have a meaning. So A1 is an object. So A1 dot fun1. So only when A1 is created, then it is possible to invoke any of the member functions, and the memory to your data members also will be allocated. Of course, that will happen at compilation time only. Which one? Allocation of memory to your data members at line number 30, which is equal to size of sum of your private data members attributes. Okay. Now, if fun2, even though fun2 is not called by strictly binding to an object, but fun2 is going to be invoked only when fun1 is going to be executed. So at the time of compilation, first of all, at the time of compilation, compiler blindly treats both fun1 and fun2, giving the same legality in terms of accessibility in main. So what it sees, or what it assumes, it means the compiler assumes that both fun1 and fun2 are the two member functions which can be invoked by using the objects in main. Now, in the second part of the code, that is in main, you are invoking only fun1. Fine. You are not using fun2. That is up to you. So it doesn't give any error. So there is no error in this. Now, only at runtime, when you are executing the line number 32, because of A1, you are entering into fun1. And when you are in fun1, which is in line number 17, after printing the statement in 19, then you are jumping to fun2 with a stack push operation, because you have to again return back. So when you are asking the program to jump to fun2, then in fun2 it is again taking the object instance which is A1 only. Okay, so meaning your fun2 of, even though if it is not binded to an object, if it is a pure member function, also can be invoked. So this is not an error. So you will get testing 1 and also testing 2. And finally, the value of putex, which is 2, will also be getting executed. So we'll get testing 1 and then testing 2. Okay. Did you understood? Yes or no? Now let us assume yes or no.
Yes, sir.
This is same as you write this arrow. Okay. If you write this arrow, your function, that and this both are same. You can also write this dot, but when you do that, then it should be star of this dot. Okay. And also it will be getting executed. Let us say 10. Clear? You following?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now let us assume that I am changing the value of x is equal to, let us say, 200 here. Okay, so before the function call, I will use one dot putex. Then I will make a function call. In the function call, I am writing a inner function call. Let me remove this strange code, which looks little, I mean, both are same, whether it is fun2 or this arrow fun2 or star this dot fun2 are same. Okay. So now is it legal? Is it legal?
Yes, sir.
Using a1 dot putx, and then again I'm using yeah, a1 dot putx. So I'll get after the member function the value of x as, will I get 200?
Yes, sir. 200.
Yeah. So initially let us say you are entering 2, then you will get 200. Okay. So the point is, it is possible to call a general function, a non-member function. For example, a member function which is outside, let us say you have a function f of, this can be called as a part of your member function. And also you can also call other member functions without invoking object binding. So this is the point. Any doubts, you can please come in and you can raise any of the doubts. Yes. Now something interesting also can be done. See, what you can do is, fun1 is this, you are testing, fun2 is this, you are testing, and again you call fun1. Then it yields to what? Infinite loop.
Okay.
This is called indirect recursion. A function is not calling the same function inside. Instead, at some time later, it is again calling the same logic. So it yields to recursion. This is called indirect recursion. Okay, so this is called as indirect recursion. An indirect recursion is a execution strategy that will come only at runtime. Okay, such that when you are defining a function, inside the function definition, you will not have the same function as the function call. Instead, some other procedure may probably enter into the same function. Now here, because of fun1 you are in fun2, and because of fun2 you are in fun1, and because of two funs, your logic is infinite loop. Okay, so sometimes it is very difficult for the coders or for the programmers not to avoid this. For example, I'll tell you one example. Before that, are you understanding? Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sometimes it is not possible for the programmer to avoid this. What I'm telling is, you cannot avoid this. Can you guess any situation or uh, any specific example where you may probably get a indirect recursion? Please note, this is a very important term in in professional engineering, where you will be asked what is the meaning of indirect recursion. I think I didn't discuss this with other class. Probably I'll share this video, and this is very important. Okay, so I think I'm asking a valid, reasonable example um, with your knowledge. Any example? Any example? Just give a guess where indirect recursion is possible. Are you there? Am I lost?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you understood what is indirect recursion? I didn't execute this because if I execute, I need to close this window. Okay, so because it is an indirect recursion. So the another claim what I'm making here is sometimes programmers cannot avoid indirect recursion. Tell an example of that. Okay, so let us assume this class, which is class A. Shall I proceed? Shall I proceed? Are you listening? How many are there?
Yes.
Yes,
At
sir.
least 30 are there. 18, 18 students are there. Okay, fine. So one of the example is assume that this class A is the banking what is it transaction class, let us say account, class account. You are talking about, sorry, I am talking about the ATM money withdrawal. Okay, so user puts the card and then you are asked to write a function to validate the password for 3 attempts. Yes or no? Attempt 1, attempt 2, attempt 3 blocked. You're getting my point. So assume that function 1 is check password. What happened? Are you listening? Function 1 is check password. So here you are asking the user, you enter the 4-digit password, and of course when password is typing, you should not display the password, you will display it as star. So internally you will store the password, and then if it is authenticated, assume that fund2 is a balance inquiry transaction. So now you are in balance inquiry transaction. So he has, or the user has entered the balance statement and you have displayed it on the screen on line number 24. And then you are prompting, you choose 1 to continue and 2 to exit. So let us assume he wants to continue. 1 means again you have to ask the password. That means again you are jumping to 17. Are you following? No. Now assume that user has entered the correct password when he is checking the balance, and when after checking the balance, when user has entered into again the continuation of the transaction, now he is entering a wrong password 3 times. Okay, so this is a point where there is a probability that your ATM system will be getting hanged. You got my point? Because it never comes out unless a hard reset is given. Hard reset means power, not physical. I think I lost my signal. There is no human response. Hello, am I connected?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I think I'm done
Yes,
with
sir.
this. Yeah, I think I'm done with this. So this is where you cannot avoid indirect recursion. You cannot avoid. Otherwise, how do you do? How you cannot do. User wants balance inquiry. User wants last 5 transactions, and he wants to continue. So you have to again invoke. the one way the other another member function without killing the without killing the session, because you can't say you remove the ATM and again you keep. Okay, so this is a practical example where you cannot avoid indirect recursion. Fine, so let me stop here. I think time is up. So with this I'm done with unit 1. Probably next class, which is scheduled tomorrow, we will talk something related to arrays, and when you deal with both static as well as dynamic arrays with classes. Okay, so if you have any specific doubts, get back to me with those doubts tomorrow, or else in the same way like we have discussed, we will take up one or two scenarios and we will discuss those aspects. Okay, so I'm again repeating, my emphasis will be more on your clarification of doubts, because the intention of keeping these classes is for the better clarity, not about the better I mean in-depth subject, not about that. Okay, so if at all there are students who wants me to repeat any of the concepts, without hesitation tell me, so that I can repeat. Okay, so probably tomorrow's class we will discuss what is a constructor, what is constructor overloading, then how do you define what are the different categories of arrays. Okay, so how do you allocate memory at runtime in C++ environment using new operator, and then when is it mandatory to use a copy constructor. Okay, then what do you mean by operator overloading? And no, that is in unit 3, right? Fine. Unit 2 talks about what? Friends. Yeah, it is friend functions. Okay, so are you there? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me stop here. If anybody has any doubts, you can raise. Make ensure that you have entered your roll number. I don't know whether attendance is being considered or not, but as per the instructions that we have received, this attendance also will be considered. Okay, so if at all there are any students whose attendance is very less, they can join and probably cope up the attendance. So if you don't have any doubts, let me stop here and I'll take a leave. Okay, I hope every other I mean everybody of your classmates are all good and healthy. There are no specific I hope everybody are fine, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, then we'll meet tomorrow. Same time? No, it is at 11 o'clock. I think it is immediately after class. Fine. Okay, so I'll stop here. Let me stop recording.